Hello class, in this video we're going to integrate a lot of stuff we have learned in the past few lessons, and we're going to composite this science fiction film scene. Alright, here's the composition. Okay, so let's select all layers. And I'll hide the layers. And let me show you the layers one by one. So first, we have our footage layers. Here is it. Okay, so it's 1710, 1705. Here is it. So basically, we have two videos. Okay, because the car is very big and we don't have a large green screen that can cover this whole area. Right, so we filmed this scene twice with the green screen placed at a different spot, and then we place them together here. So go back here. And then I place these two footage here and get rid of green color background, and then we'll have our car with a clean background and with the foreground here. Okay, and then when you place the effects in here, we still need something in the background, right? So what we have done is, for 1710 we get rid of this area and keep this area, this background area, and for 1705 we deleted this area and keep this area, and then that will be here. That will be these three, right? So we have the clean background area, and then we have the clean foreground area. So that will make us get us a clean footage with a clean background and clean foreground without green screen. And also there's layers, because as you know, we have our foreground here, right? So foreground here, and then underneath that is the background, so we can place footages in the center. Okay, so that is how it works. And then let me show you. So let me hide this too. So we have our background. So these are the backgrounds, right? And then we add a fire, and fire on the other side, and then we add some buildings, some kind of abandoned buildings, and then we add a green screen effect. Okay, and we cropped the area that is not usable, and we only need this part. So comes back here. So that is the effect we place on that side, on the background. And then we add some smoke here. Okay, and then we add an adjustment layer, which we have a Gaussian blur on it. As you know, if you add a adjustment layer, and whatever effects you apply on the adjustment layer, you're going to apply to the whole footage. Okay, so this is before, this is after, before, after. So that's going to blur out the background a little bit to have the kind of film, the depth of field filling. Okay, as you can see, we also added a mask on this effect, so this area doesn't affected by the Gaussian blur, but this area is affected. See, if I hide and show, this area doesn't affect it, right? But this area affected a lot, so that will simulate the depth of field. Okay, and then we have our foreground. So as you bring in the foreground, it's going to cover the footage that's spilled out to here. Okay, and then we have our dirt effects. Okay, and let me go back to the conversation, and dirt on another side, and then we also have the soil with the dirt. We place it on the vehicle. So here's the footage. Let me double click. So this is the original footage. So basically, you can get a green screen and you can drop some dirt on it, and then you can and then you can place it on the car and get rid of the green color background, and if I solo this layer and solo the foreground layer, and this is how it looks. Let me change the preview mode to quarter so it's faster. Right, so basically it kind of adds this effect on the vehicle. So let me unsolo here, and then we're going to add a crash effect on this area. Okay, and then you can add a fire in front of the vehicle, and you can even add a glow to the fire if you want. So here I select this layer and change its blending mode to screen. So on top of it, you can add a glow effect, and you can also add heat waves. Okay, by apply the concept that I taught in last class. Okay, and then we'll have a smoke in front of the car, and then we have some particles. So here is it. So some particles in front of it. And then on top of everything, I added adjustment layer, and that will lower down the saturation. So if you see, I have applied a hue saturation effect on the adjustment layer. Okay, so that is the structure of the conversation, and then we're going to go to the detail and make this conversation step by step. Alright, so now let's get started. So I'm going to select our background footage, create conversation, and here for the new conversation is created, I'm going to rename it as a final, so this will be our final conversation. Alright, and also drop in our 1705 footage. So these are the two footages. Okay, what I'll first do is I'm going to mute the sound, and I'm going to select the first one, and I'm going to apply a key light 1.2 effect onto it, and get rid of the green color background. You can increase it, and you can also go to the screen matte, lower down the white color and increase the black color on the matte, so you're going to get a cleaner result. Okay, here's how it looks. And then you can create a mask to mask out this area. So we can, with this layer selected, okay, and we can simply create a mask along the edge. Maybe just stop here. Okay, so the function of this mask is we're going to use it to mask out here. Okay, so we change the blending the mask type as a subtract. Okay, select it again, and we want to remove this hard edge. So with the pen tool, we can start with a new mask. We start from here. Okay, and with this mask, I'm going to do subtract as well. However, for its feather, we can increase the feather to about 22. Okay, and if you don't like the result here, you can go back to the selection tool and select each individual points and bring them towards the tire, to get the best result. And you can also play with the feather number. Right, since this is for demonstration, I will not go to the detail. And then we're going to remove this area. Okay, remember we have two footages. Let's see here. We also got this one, right? And this side have the green color background. So for this layer, we can just get a rough kind of crop of this area. So we can just select this layer and use a pen tool, and we can just crop on the car, because we don't need to worry about the edge, since the other footage has a clean edge, right? So we're going to select this whole area, and we will also change the mask type as it's out of frame. Change the mask type to subtract, and for the feather, we're going to get a little bit feather. Okay, so that will be our first foreground. So here we can see car, foreground 1. Okay, and then we'll move on to the next one. So here I will not use the Luma matte, Alpha matte, so I can just go to the column and turn off the mode. So that's going to save some space on my timeline. Okay, so here we're gonna select this layer, and we're gonna also drop a key light effect onto it. Make sure your caps lock key is checked off. No. Okay, so screen color, and I'm going to pick not here, because here's a too bright, here's a too dark. So I'm going to pick up a green color which is in the center, in the middle level, and I can increase the screen gain to get a cleaner result, and then go to screen matte, reduce the clip white, increase the clip black. Okay. And no, I'll just keep it as the default setting. Okay, and then I'm going to select it and go to the pen tool, and I can create a mask to mask out here, this area, the background area. And I can just stop here. And mask type, I'm going to choose subtract. And with the layer selected, I'm going to add one more mask that I'm going to go to here. And subtract, and feather, I'm going to put 22. Looks good. Okay, and I'll also get rid of this area. However, here we have a small issue. So for this one, this footage, our actor just entered the car, so he closed it here. So we may crop it a little bit. Or if you want this part, you'll just have to create additional masks, to mask out the background. So that totally depends on how you want this scene to achieve. Okay, so for demonstration purpose, I'll just cut to here and bring it to the front. Okay, and then for here, I can just create a mask. And go to the mask type, change it to subtract, and mask feather, I'm going to do 22. Okay, and then I have this clean footage, and with the other one I will have this. So this is our car. Okay, as you can see, when I go to the other part, because the intensity of the sun changed, right? If I go to, let's see, this is this footage, 1705. So that will bring a question to the filming. So if you are filming outdoor with green screen, it would be great if you could film in a sunny weather or in a very super cloudy weather. And you don't want to film with the day that is sunny, but there's still some cloud in the air, and then you're going to change the intensity of light a lot. For the day we are filming these footages, it is in that situation. So sometimes it's cloudy, sometimes it's shiny. The lighting condition change a lot. Okay, so that will make your post-production a little bit hard. To fix the issue here, we can create a keyframe on our key light effect. Okay, so let's see. In the beginning, it's very clear, so we can create a keyframe on the screen counter, keyframe on the screen gain as well, and the problem start to happen here. So we can turn off the key light effect, and here for the screen counter, here we're going to create a keyframe, and we're going to add this light green counter and add a keyframe here as well. Okay, and since we have created the keyframe for the screen gain, and we can play with the setting. Okay, so now it looks much better. Though the lighting still changes, but we cannot change that because it is already in the footage, right? However, we can place this layer underneath that layer, so that can solve the problem. Okay, so because this layer, it covered this whole area and only left the edge empty, and then that will be here, right? So as the light changes, it can only change the light around the edge, so that's totally fine. And actually it looks even more realistic because of the lightings. Okay, so that will be the full background. So here we can rename it to foreground 2. Okay, and then let's see, we can drop in these two again, once again. Actually here I'm going to delete it. I'm going to just duplicate these two and place it underneath here. Okay, so this one I'm going to name it as background 2, and this will be background 1. Okay, so this was the foreground one there, so now I duplicate it and name it as a background 1. Okay, so for this layer, okay, make sure turn off the caps lock key. Okay, so for background layer, here I'm going to, let's see, first I'm going to delete its green screen effect, and then I'm going to go to the mask, and I will delete that mask, and I don't need this mask, so I can delete it, and I only leave this mask on. And for this mask, I can change the mask type to add, so this is going to keep this area, right? And then I can select this area and just bring them down, because if you remember the demonstration in the beginning, so this will be the background that we place it all the way at the bottom of the composition, right? So this is this area, and then we can go to the other one. Okay, this one, and we'll go to its effect and delete the key light, and go to the mask. So we don't need this mask, so I'm gonna just delete, and we don't need that one, so I'm gonna delete, and only need this one. So for this mask, I'm going to change the blending mode, the mask type to add, and I'm going to select these individual points I have created and bring them to the other side. Okay, so this will be background 2, And when you have all of them together, you will have this thing, right? And see if I for example, go to visual effects, if I drop in anything between them, between the foreground and background, see, it can be underneath the car. Here we have a small issue that is due to, here I haven't turned that on, so now it will be behind our car. Okay, so you got the idea. I'm gonna select the foreground layer. I'm going to tag it as a yellow color. For background, I'm going to tag it as a maybe purple color, so it could be easier for us to identify the effects. Okay, so now let's drop in our effects. So here I'm going to go to the images and the buildings. So we have a lot of building footage. So you can bring in any footage you want. For example, here if I just bring in building 5. Okay, if I solo this layer, this is how it looks. It got a white color background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a color range, okay, onto it, and I'm going to select the white color and okay, and then we can play with the fuzziness. And you can also click on this button to check, between the black solid display or the grid display for the transparent background. Okay, in order to check if we get the background clean entirely. Okay, so you're going to follow this step to. Okay, you're going to follow this step to bring in other buildings. For example, if I bring in 7, and I can just copy the color range effect and then just paste it onto it, and you can make it bigger, and you can place it to anywhere you want. Okay, and then you can apply a hue saturation effect to change the hue if you want, but I think the color looks good. And here I'm going to drop in the fire footage. So for the fire, I can just change its blending mode. Here I'm going to turn on the mode. Here we go. So I'm going to check on the screen blending mode. Here is it. And if you want a kind of a glow on it, you can just duplicate this layer, and then you can see fire 1 glow, and here you can apply a glow effect onto it. Okay, and you can play with the settings. And you may lower down the opacity if you think it's too much. Okay. And you can also create a adjustment layer. And you can use it to create heat waves. So select the adjustment layer, and you can get a turbulence effect on it, right? And you can get the amount down a little bit, the size down. Actually, amount I want to be higher, but the size I want to be lower. And we can let's see, offset. We can create maybe a keyframe on the offset. So at the 0 second, we're going to create a keyframe. So you're going to start from here, and then add here, we're going to add a keyframe, okay, and we're going to move its center point. So when we play, as you can see, the turbulent effect will be on, and you're going to turbulent this area, this whole area actually. So we're going to select this adjustment layer, and we can add a mask. Okay, and for this mask, the mask type as add, and you can increase the feather, so you can feather out this whole area. So let me only show this layer, and the fire and the car background. Okay, so this is how it looks. So the only turbulent this area, right? Okay, so that is for the fire, and as you can see, we have another fire, so you can place it to any place and repeat this process. However, I'll just skip that part because it is the same thing as what we have done earlier. Okay, and then I can duplicate this layer and place it in front of my car and place it somewhere like here and make it bigger. And because they have the same time, I don't want the fire to be exactly the same, so here's the two things I would like to do. First, I'm going to bring the time forward a little bit, and second, I'll go right click and go to transform and flip horizontal, so you're going to flip it, so now the fire will look different, right? And then you can add some kind of a cracks here, so you can add a crack that I provided in the ground cracking demonstration. Okay, you can place them on the ground. So here I'm going to use one visual effect I found online. So here I'm going to create a composition with it. And for this footage, you can crop to any part you want. Okay, and you can use a mask to get rid of the places that you don't want. Subtract, right? And you know, if you want this part, you can also get rid of here. Subtract. Okay, and then drop in a key light 1.2 effect and get rid of the green color background and make sure you start from the beginning. Okay, and then just go to the final composition and drop in that footage. Alright, since I already done this one before, so I'm gonna just drop the first one I have created. So this will be here. I want to place it underneath the car foreground layer here, right? And then you can duplicate this layer and place it in front of the car, and I would place it here, and can also make it bigger. And as you can see here, we have this ugly hard edges, but that side we don't have it, so we can just go transform and flip horizontal. Okay, so that works. And then you can add smoke. So first add smoke underneath the car, behind the car. Beneath it have a lot of smoke effects. So this is black and white, so we can place it underneath it, and we can make it bigger. And because the background is black color, so we can simply change the blending mode to screen, so that will keep some smoke in the scene and get rid of the black color background. And I can like the color of the smoke, the bluish color, so I can just keep it. And then I can duplicate this layer and place it on top of everything. Okay, in front of it. And here maybe I can just scale it up more. and I'm going to go to transform and flip. So you're going to go from that side to here. So you're going to have 2 layers of smoke. One goes left to right, one goes right to left. And here you can lower down the opacity. So I would only do about 20 or even lower, because that's the foreground. We still want to be able to see our character in here. Okay, and it looks like our UFO footage still have this hard edge, so we can select the pen tool to draw a mask. And for this mask, you're going to change the blending mode to subtract and increase the feather. Okay, so that will solve the problem. And what else? Let me see, the order composition. I also have soil with the dirt and particles. So that will be similar thing, right? So this is the footage, soil with dirt, and you can crop the area that you don't want. For example, here we're gonna have a hard edge, right? Because the soil, the stone is out of the frame, so here has the hard edges. I don't want that, so I can just use a ellipse tool to crop the border. And for this mask, I'm going to increase the feather, something like this, so we don't have the hard edges. Maybe even make this even smaller. Okay, and then we can get a Keynote 1.2 effect on it and get rid of a green color background, and then play with the setting if it is not entirely clean. And then go to your final composition here and drop in the soil dirt effects, and you want to place it in front of the car foreground layer. Okay, and then select this layer, and we can make it smaller and place it on the car. Okay, and then we can add some particles. So the particle is green color background, so we want to place it in front of the fire, which is this one. Okay, so we can select the particle, get a green color background, and apply it to the wrong layer. So I have to select the particle, get it on the particle, and here we go. So you can make it to the whole scene, or you can make it smaller to just cover this area. Okay, and create a mask on the particle. And for the mask, change the feather to about 30 or 40. So if you play, you're gonna see little particle, but it only show in this area. Okay, if one doesn't look great, you can have the second particle and just make the time doesn't match, and then go to transform and flip horizontal, and then go to this mask and go to the selection tool and double click on the mask and to move it to cover this whole thing. So that will solve the problem. And you can also add a glow effect on the particle if you want. Okay, and on top of it, you can add a adjustment layer, on the top, and you can get hue saturation on it. And for hue saturation, you can lower down the saturation a little bit. Okay, so that will look more like a disaster. And one more adjustment layer on top. Then here we're going to get a blur effect. We're looking for a Gaussian blur. So here we go. So we're gonna apply a Gaussian blur to it. Okay. However, I want to place this adjustment layer underneath the foreground layer, and I'm going to rename it to lens blur. Okay, and we can increase the blurriness. So I would do about 40. Okay, so here's how it looks. And I would like to get a mask on it, because this is a lens blur, right? So here is in focus and here's out of focus. So we're going to create a mask, and for the mask feathering, we can increase it to about 100, and this is before, this is after. So here you can see the transition. Maybe you can do it more. Okay. And then we can do the same thing on the car. So we can duplicate this lens blur layer and place it on top of everything. Okay. However, for this one, I'm going to delete the mask. Okay. So for this one, I would like to apply it on the car. So for the blurriness, I'm going to lower it down to about maybe 8. And for the car, we would do a, let's see, a rounded shape, or maybe a rectangular shape. Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna have a mask, and going to do it in this way, because here's the father, here's the closer, right? And for the mask, let's see, I'm going to subtract. Okay, and I'm gonna increase the level to about maybe even more. So that will create some lens blur on the car. Okay, and let me double check for lens blur 1, the first one. Okay, looks good. So that is for lens blur. Okay, and then you can on top of everything, you can add a starting layer, and for the color, you can select a bluish color, but not too saturated. Maybe something like this. Okay, and then you can change the blending mode to multiply, and maybe lower down its opacity a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to use a ellipse tool to draw a mask and place it in the center, and change its mask type to add, and its mask feather, we're going to increase it to something about this. So we just want to add a tint to the whole thing, and here we can go to its opacity and lower down the opacity a little bit. Okay, so if you are satisfied with everything, you can, with this composition selected, you can go to the file and export and add to media encoder to render it.